So good evening, one and all present here. I sincere thank to all the participants because you really very interested to know about current coating technology, specifically thermal barrier coating, because it's a needs of the day. And I sincerely thank our expert speaker from Kalasalingam Academy of Research and Education, Dr. M. Adamkan sir, Associate Professor. I sincerely thank him. And also, I sincerely thank our management and our principal and our vice principal, Dr. S. Rajakarnagaran sir, and our mechanical department HOD. And also, I sincerely thank our Bell DGM, Mr. N. Rajasegaran sir, from IWS, Indian Welding Society Secretary, for giving opportunity to host this particular event session. And also, I sincerely thank all the our faculty members who are helping me to arrange all these things. And also, I sincerely once again I thank all the participants who are come over here, and also our students members who are here to listen the lecture about this particular topic. I sincerely welcome all the participants from various states, various institute all over India, uh, to actually hear and know about particular technology. Before that, I want to introduce our today's chief guest in this particular forum. Actually, today's chief guest, uh, our our chief guest, Dr. M. Adamkan sir, he actually in expertise in materials and manufacturing process, and also his area in surface engineering and corrosion studies, and also he is going to take care of NB also. Uh, he had currently holding postdoctoral research fellow position from University of Johannesburg, South Africa, during May 2019 to April 2020. He received his doctorate from National Institute of Technology, Tiruchirappalli, for the title Studies on Plasma Spread Nickel Chromium, Chromium Oxide, and A440T coatings on Inconel 617 for gas turbine applications. And also, he had done his BE and ME from Anna University with distinction, and also in the ME, he had got gold medalist. So I because for current session, our particular our guest speaker is having wonderful and wide knowledge in the particular field, because he already completed his degree in NIT Trichy, as well as he is going to do the PDF from South Africa. So I sincerely thank, and also I welcome our guest speaker, Dr. M. Adamkan sir. So I hand over the session to him. So next another one to 1.5 hour, he is going to deliver the lecture on particular topic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Maharajan sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Can I get presentation mode?
Yes, sir. You just present button in the top. You can present now, sir. 1 minute, 1 minute.
I think it's
1 minute, 1 minute. 1 minute, sir. Now we can able to present, sir.
yeah. I got it now. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, definitely, sir.
Yes. Very good evening. Thanks to the opportunity given by the team, organizing team, and then IWS, Indian Welding Society of India. I'm really happy that when I was there at NIT Trichy, I was partially connected with the team. I did my PhD from Materials Department, so IWS, BHEL, TRI. So all the uh, group will be working in the same uh, within a shed at the materials department. So I'm happy that I got a chance to give a session along with IWS and RIT. Thanks Maharajan for inviting me for this, and then I have to thank SRK sir, Karnaran sir, because he used to invite me regularly, frequently for many sessions. And beyond professional, he's our mentor. I have to thank SRK sir. At the same time, I have to thank my management, because the management who is shouldering me in many aspects. My Kalasalingam Academy of Research and Education. When I enter here inside the campus, they said only one thing: you should not drop your research, as what you have done, you should be multiplied. So that is the only motivation given by my management. I should thank our chairman, and then my vice president, and my school team, vice chancellor, my school team, HOD, dean, all for giving me a continuous support, and then allowing me to share my expertise towards the growth of the students and to the industry people who's here uh, in this world. Okay. So my topic is thermal barrier coatings. I was just surprised. Why do you want to give a topic in thermal barrier coating? So why not some application based one? So he said, sir, you are doing good in coatings. You can give some information related to thermal barrier coating to the benefit of the students. Sure, they will be understanding. So I was very comfortable when he was asking me, Maharajan sir was asking me about this TBC subject. That is, after my PhD, just one scholar did this one. He completed his PhD last year, and then no other student taken of this TBC. So as a eager of my work, and my specialization turned this thermal barrier coating. So I said, okay, no problem, I can take thermal barrier coating, fine. So everything comes under this topic called surface engineering. So in the front screen itself, you can see what is this spray method and how the thermal barrier coating sets. Where is the main application? So this is the screen. It's just like seeing the poster, you should say how the movie characters. So just like that, I have given a poster in such a way: bearings, bearing character, that is the bearing coatings, bearing coating characteristics, and where it is being applied. And based on that applications, few examples for you is ready to show in the screen. Before going to that, let me pick my screen. So everywhere, any topic, when I go, I would like to insist, do you know something else about the topic? Because I should aware, no? I should not say wrong anything else. At the same time, I should not go beyond my topic. So I have to be in a track. So I used to say in the terms of content as well as just like points to know. Did you know these things? Because at the end of the session, you should be very clear about the points which I am going to highlight here. What is the first point I would like to insist here? Okay, so that is, what is thermal barrier coating? What is thermal barrier coating? It is a coating, that's all. Why it is called a thermal barrier coating? So we cannot say simply called a thermal barrier coating, TBC, TBCs. There should be some reasonable justification for the name given by the inventors. So what is thermal barrier coating? We have to note that. So that is the first point we have to note it. Next, thermal barrier coatings and the thermal spray method. Are they both same, or do they have any differences? Because people used to say that when we go for any coating, I have applied thermal barrier coating. What is called thermal barrier coating? You can go for different applications, different materials, but the application is different and the process is different. Okay, so do you have any confusions in this, any conflict is in this? So you should be very clear in these two, right? So thermal spray method and thermal barrier coatings, are they same? That we have to understand from this lecture. Next is, why do ceramics, most of the thermal barrier coatings who work, they're using ceramics as one of the major top coat material. So why do they want to use ceramics as a important aspect? Why not other? What is the main reason? So that is why next is, what do we need top coat and bond coat concept? So in this thermal barrier coatings, there is a concept called top coat, bond coat. This was the first concept developed by the inventors to make the applications of TBC. So is it really mandatory to make this top coat and bond coat? So that is the 4 points. So from my lecture, this series, that you will be understanding all these 4 points at the end of my series. Okay. So let us go to the session. Do you know this guy? Do anyone know this guy? A charming kid. I too don't know. But what is his in face? What is in his face? He's having some, he has applied something else in his face. What is this? Any idea? It is related to the topic, I'm assured. It is related to the topic, I'm sure. Okay, fine. I think some might be getting disturbed to answer. Do you know these fellows? Who are they? Why do they want to apply something else on their face? He has applied something else here in this nose. He especially used in the lips. What is the main purpose? Is it related to the topic? Yes, because these are all sunscreen. When we go out, or when we see that the skin does not burn our skin, that the sun rays radiation should not burn our skin. So radiations, or the heat whichever available at the environment, that the ambient, should not spoil the nature built structure. So that is the main motto, nothing else more than that. If it is of smartness or aesthetics, he won't apply like this, or it won't be just like a lipsticks or lip gloss. When I was there in Johannesburg, the people used to walk with their lip balm. I was surprised. Why you guys would like to take that lip balm anyway? While going the lift, immediately they'll take it and they'll apply in the lips, even though boys and girls. No. Why? Because the environment there, they'll make it is so much cool, and then they'll make the lips to get damaged. And because to avoid that, they used lip balm. At the same time, when we go off, when I was there in Dubai, the people used to apply maximum of sunscreen. They won't come out of sun. They'll be inside the room. They won't come out to sun. They'll be inside the room. The room will be of full-fledged conditioned system. So they are protecting. So something is protected to the nature build or the application concept. So how they are protected? So that is the concept behind this thermal barrier coatings. So you can see this is the object. Now one small animation is floating over here. This is the object, and this is your environment. Okay, this environment is having a high heat energy, and this is the object where you want to make a component. Okay, so this component is just exposed to some heat energy. If it is directly exposed to heat energy, what happens? The heat what are the amount of heat generated will make the surface to get deteriorated. So it depends upon the material property and the radiation of heat and the latent heat quality, thermal expansion, all the thermal properties. I have to spell it here. So if I want to protect this material, I have to make a barrier that this energy should not affect to my component, and that is called as a barrier, thermal barrier. That is very simple. In the simplest way, this is a simulation part 1. So you can see there is a object just like a cube. There, if I apply the heat over this, what happens? The heat will directly tries to enter into this job, and it will make this area to heat it very fast. What happens when the heat is high? When the heat energy is high, what happens? The surface will be getting deteriorated because of the energy of heat which is applied when it is running for continuously 100 hours, 200 hours, or how 1000 hours, whatever it is, then this component may be getting deteriorated. So we have to protect this component working at elevated temperatures. So to make these kinds of comfortableness, they have developed called the thermal barrier coating. And just like to the simulation, this is the main explanations. So you can see that this is one X temperature, and this is going to be the component or your work or substrate, whatever it is. And it is going to substitute to some X degree centigrade. For example, let it be at 1000 degrees centigrade. Okay, so if it is at 1000 degrees centigrade, if the material is directly exposed to this condition, what happens? If it is of iron, or if it is of a nickel, it goes directly to the recrystallization or some melting phase. So metallurgical phase transformation directly involves here, and this material will be metallurgically diffused, or the metallurgical deformation degradation starts. Okay, just to avoid that higher temperature, and we cannot expect that component to get a reliable life. To increase the reliability of the life, what happened? To reduce the temperature, they are producing this barrier coatings to some extent. This is called one top coat, coating 1, and this is called bond coat, it's called coating 2. So top coat will be the maximum material used as an insulator. Maximum materials related to insulator or a packing material. So since they are widely selected as a ceramics, they try to dissipate the heat maximum. So that is why, so ceramics are the wide applications used in the top coat. So the heat transformation will be suddenly reduced to some state that may be of Y, so X minus Y. And then what is this bond coat used for? So bond coat is used for the related to work material, base material, which can that sudden material heat changes, that X minus Y need not to touch that immediately. Some sort of Z changes can be different. This is Y means this will be Z. So this may be of X minus Y minus Z. For example, at this state, it is having 1000 degrees centigrade, means it may reduce here up to 900 or 920 degrees centigrade. And here this centigrade. So 900,000 to 920, 920 to 900, how it has been reduced? We cannot go and set any cooling systems or any other systems over this, because it is going to be integrated. If you are applying the cooling system, it will be integrated. But where the heat is directly exposed, when you are talking about the combustion chambers. In the combustion chamber, that material has to directly expose to the heat, and then only it can able to produce the power. But if you compensate that material to get deteriorated or the material to get cool, what happens? The combustion power will be reduced. We cannot compensate the power produced. At the same time, we cannot compensate the material degradation. So for that, the material has been produced. The heat generated at this combustion should be same. At the same time, it should not affect the substrate which has been used. So since we are going for thermal barrier coatings for high temperature, elevated operating conditions. Okay. So thermal barrier coatings in hot section. So this is a good example for a turbine blade. Everywhere I have given you the references. Most of my papers contents are here. So as of I have done research, and then my scholars are also doing the research. So I have given in the terms of DOI, not in the names of, not in the author's name. So in all the slides, I have given you the references, no issues. At the end of the session, I'll share this PPT to Maharajan sir. So he may be sharing this with you for your better understanding. There is no issues for me to share this content because it is open and it is published from my side. So these are all Google sources and then from the available literature. So mostly this substrate is made of nickel-based superalloy. You can see here. So nickel-based superalloys in which they are having one bond coat. This is oxidation resistant coat, that is called bond coat, oxidation resistant coat. Another one is called top coat. they are calling as a insulating thermal barrier coating. So this is the basic thing. So substrate, bond coat, top coat. So top coat will be maximum of ceramic materials. So you can see this one in the turbine applications, the combustion chamber produces around 1200 degrees centigrade. This TBC, this top coat will try to reduce the temperature, has reduced up to 1050 degrees centigrade. You can see how it has reduced. After that, to protect this component from the oxidation, there is one more layer called bond coat, which is to make the component to protect from the oxidation, and that may also take this part of temperature. It may be around 50 degree or 100 degree, so it will be less than 1000 degree or near to 1000 degrees centigrade. So 1000 degrees centigrade to an object, just imagine how it will behave. If the same 1200 degrees centigrade is subjected to the environment, how it behaves. So that is the main differences happening in this thermal barrier coatings. So since in hot section, thermal barrier coatings are widely used in a different way for different temperature applications. For example, so this is the cases. For any combustion chamber, there will be a hot gas. There will be some velocity of gases will be purged because the combustion has a heavy velocity of particle bombardment. So that gases will not settle it very fast because the continuous power generates means it bombards and it starts to tries to diffuse it somewhere. So that is the main reason. So this velocity is just made on that way. So high velocity gases are over there. So this ceramic top coat is mostly it will be of a porous. Okay, this will be maximum. All the ceramic coatings are of porous, so we cannot build any porous free coating. So it is very tough. But addition of alloying elements may reduce porous. I can assure that. Okay, so addition of alloying elements along with the oxides may reduce the porous, just like lanthanum oxide, titanium oxide, which is having a small microstructure in atomic number, may diffuse it very fast, or nano level particles may get it inside. It is possible to reduce the porosity, but we cannot say that the top coat is 100% porous free. It is free from porous, so it is not possible. So that is why this will be of nearly several microns to several mm. So very minimum microns to mm rating. And then next is bond coat. Just don't see about this word TGO. I'll come back to you. So this is the main thing. So when the temperature rises, so insulator will reduce it for one temperature rating. Then next state it will reduce to the bond coat. After that, the temperature will be here. But at the time of this combustion process or elevating process, you can see there are a lot of transformation of atoms, elements. The nickel which is here in the job may come down, or the aluminum which is here may go up, or the ceramics which is having the aluminum may come. We cannot say there won't be any migrations of element because the borders are strong, even though the borders are vulnerable towards the higher temperature. That is the thing. We have controlled the temperature, but the migration of elements has been controlled from severe to a minor level. So that is the main theme of this job. So thermal barrier coatings are highly recommended for the thing. So how to protect these kinds of things? So we are going for coatings. So coatings are of different types. One is solution state, another one is molten or semi-molten state, next one is gaseous state. So solution state, it is just like a chemical bath solution. So it may be of a electrolysis process, sol gel process, or chemical solution process, just like in a beaker, taking a salt bath. Okay, you will be placing the electrode over here. If it is electroless, based on the timing or accelerators we use, the coating may go and deposit negatively charged ions, will go towards the positive ions and it goes up. If it is of electro coating process, there will be a small power source with reference to the accelerated energy and the catalyst, that is electrolyte solutions, what you use, the coating will go up. So this is the basic thing happening in these things. But the small drawback here is in the solution state, we cannot get maximum 15 microns without any damage. So only drawback here is there will be a blistering of, just like a scale, just like a fish scale, or blisters will be there while your electrolysis coating is not properly done, so that we cannot avoid it. So you have to do it, and up to 50 mm we can go, and we can go for more than 50 mm by multi-stage, just like coating, sintering, just like that. You have to go it in a multi-stage, multi-step side, and then only you can able to attain that. But the loss of materials and cost will be something else more. The time is more consumable. But the people used to go with these kinds of molten state or semi-state with laser source or thermal source or welding source. What is this welding? How welding can be done? Yes, welding is also used. Just like a cladding, TIG cladding, MIG cladding, just weld beads, whichever the wire or electrode which are used, you can use to fuse it and deposit over the layer for the microns to mm. Or even though we can use, there is a word, WAAM, weld arc additive manufacturing process. Just like a coating, you can build it to a solid component, BAM. This is also in the current state. So next comes this thermal spray coating. So in this, what is the main problem? You can go with metallic coatings, not with the ceramic coatings. That is very important here. At the same time, lasers, there are small problem with the ceramics, because the ceramics does not have that much tendency to take the laser heat energy, because the laser heat energy is very fast and rapid, and its intensity is more, and thermal shocks and thermal cracks are highly induced over the ceramic material. So we have to make a proper controlled condition to make ceramic coatings with a laser. So that is difficult. That is why the people used to go with the thermal spray process. The gaseous state process, ion beaming, or chemical vapor deposition, physical vapor deposition. Mostly the people used to go with physical vapor deposition for coatings. This also it is possible, because this coating which I have shown here, this is of electron beam physical vapor deposition process. I'll show you why PVD and thermal spray techniques are having controversials. I'll tell you that. That is the main motto of the research. Okay. So surface coating is having a different material concepts. So each and everything has its own uniqueness. See, you can see this laser and welding process, steelite materials, steel concepts, stainless steel, pneumonics, all metallics can be done here. Even though nickel is also tough here. So nickel is somewhat tough, but that residual stress is removal in this laser is somewhat something as a main issue. But we can do it to some extent. Then electrolysis plating, just normal as you do it in the chemistry lab. So this is a very common one. Okay. Then this is a very recent one. The people are highly working towards this for many research, just like aerospace applications, mines. You will digging the lignites in the NLC. One of the research from NIT they have done in the CARTS project. So digging mines will be having a hard abrasives in that. Sulfur content will have to be there. So different environments are focused. So for that they have done thermal spray coated only. Okay. So CVD, PVD is another concept. So this is a solid lubricant. So this is different. So it is just like a powder concept. So nothing else. It is just like a face powder. So this not that much available. So it is used for some other cases, not compared to thermal barrier coatings. Okay. So here PVD and thermal barrier coatings are the two main topics which I use to focus it, and they have been done a wonderful contributions in the research of high temperature corrosion studies. Okay, so materials for thermal barrier coatings, there are three stages. As I said, it is having one top coat, second one is called bond coat, another one is called substrate. So top coat, maximum the people used to make it with the ceramics. So all the types of ceramics are widely used. What is the main reason? The only thing is it is an insulator. It can able to reduce the heat. It can able to reduce the heat, latent heat of transformations. It will be controlled. It doesn't allow the other elements to pass it very fast. It has to be it will make the component in such a way to protect it, just like powers. That is just like a ninja power or ladies superheroes, just like that. So bond coat is to protect the component. This will protect from the environment. This will protect the material. This is for mainly oxidation. Okay, so that is why the corrosion resistant materials are widely used. Chromium, nickel, cobalt. These are the main components. So they are highly resistant towards the oxidation and corrosion, and these are highly resistant towards the thermal insulating, since These two are widely used as the top coat and bond coat. And the substrate, yeah. So if I go to boiler power plants, steels are widely used. So P20, uh, P80, nickel alloy, pneumonic alloy, Monels, different types of nickel-based and stainless steels are used. Even though 316, 304, martensitic stainless steel, duplex stainless steel for different applications in erosion studies are also done over there in thermal barrier coatings. So stainless steel is one of the main thing, and then super alloys are thing. And recently there is one demand for aluminum alloys. So we just like in aerospace applications, the front panels or the front dooms are now widely made of aluminum, where the erosions and then some sort of thermal related shocks should not be induced over that front doom of that aero vehicles. So to just control that, aluminum structures are also doing. So we have just stepped on that to do something else. So even aluminum also can be done. Only thing, we should not try this TBC with magnesium alloy, because pre-processing is very important there. This TBC is a heavy temperature. I'll show you the temperature rating. At these temperatures, this magnesium alloy does not have a stable one. It will burst, and it should not be what to say, a trial job, or it should not be any blasters happen recently in a global one. Just like that, it should not be there. So thermal barrier coatings are classified in different ways, just like a combustion method, electrical method, and high pressure method. Combustion, it is nothing but there will be some detonators or igniters. In this D gun, detonation gun is used. So maximum the explosives are used as a combustion material over here. They are otherwise called as a D gun process. Okay, detonation gun. Flame spray, normal gaseous fuel or any some sort of liquid fuels can be used. So flame guns are highly used here. They can use in the materials in the forms of wires or powder. So this is the second stage. Third is called high velocity oxy fuel or high velocity air fuel. So velocity, for that they are using oxygen or air. So fuel will be of anything else. So with the help of fuel, any sort of fuel, you can able to increase the heat energy to fuse the material and to deposit. I'll show you how it has been done. So electrical type, plasma arc or arc wire spray method. So these two are just like a ruby rods or the electrode wires, or electrode rods, tungsten rods are widely used. So it may be of atmospheric plasma method or vacuum plasma method. So I have done my PhD in APS, atmospheric plasma spray method, because this is highly versatile one. I'll show you because what is the reason to go for atmospheric plasma spray method. Because one more reason is, you're using a fuels. So fuels will be having so many contaminants. Okay, fuels will be having so many contaminants when it is combusted. Even you go for anything else, so the smokes or the contaminants whichever used here will be just impregnated inside the coating material, and it may be having some sort of deficiency. And since this HVOF method has been stopped later after identifying some sort of positive, that is negative results. So many used to say the positive results of HVOF, but negative results of HVOF are not completely given by any researchers. So sure, this fuel contents are there, and that you cannot avoid it. So at the same time, plasma, compared to the HVOF, the plasma rating temperature is different. Okay. Next is cold spray method. So cold spray method is a different one where the high pressure gas jet is used. This is very novel now in making this thermal spray method. Cold spray is very novel, even though many articles you can see the novelty of the coatings, or many special issues are asked for cold spray method. The people are in India is very less in making the cold spray method. If you're interested, you can try to do that. No, there is no issues. It's a challenging one for the beginners. Okay, right. Next is coating materials. So thermal spray method, I'm going to explain it here. This what is called thermal spray method. So first one is called coating material. So coating material may be in the form of pellets or a wire or a powder or whatever it is. So that material should be selected, and based on that material, you have to select the process. Okay, that's very important one. So the process is nothing but the heat energy, how you are going to generate the heat. Either it may be HVOF, flame, D-gun, plasma spray, or the systems which are available. So the energy required, if it is of metallic, the thermal energy required for fusion will be different than that ceramics. So rate of fusion is different for metallics and ceramics. So based on that only you have to select. That is the second one, thermal energy. Third one is called spray velocity. At what velocity this fused metal will be deposited, just like a splats. So that is called spray deposit. That is the fourth case. So how far it is going to be deposited, velocity, and how, what is the thickness or the structure or the job where you have to place it. That is the fourth factor. So with all this fourth factor, you are going to make a proper thermal spray process. Okay. So if you just check it over the structure, you can see there are so many step-by-step layers, just like what to say, added layers, so many built layers, added layers, which is because of this atomized metal particles or ceramic particles fused and deposited at a higher velocity to just impregnate it. So it will be having a good metallurgical bonding because pre-treatment will be done here around 400 to 500 degrees centigrade based on the substrate, and at that case this will be having a good metallurgical bonding. So that is the thing which has to be noted here. Okay, so next, there are so many torches, just like I said, if you are going for flame, it will be one. If you are going for powder feed in the flame, the torch will be one side. If you are going for wire feed, the torch will be of different. If you are going for plasma gun, the electrode will be different because it is going to be the what to say, igniting electrodes, just like that concept. So there is no gas or anything else. If you are going for any arc welding process, you have to give a feed of wire, and then you have to give a feed of your heat energy source. If you're going for cold spray, the concept is different. And if you're going for HVOF concept, you have to give a ignition coil as well as a cooling coil, and then your powder spray separate. So with reference to the concept, there are so many torch facilities, and you have to handle this properly, just like a welding electrode. This, I have to say that FSTNL is having a wonderful website to understand, to teach us more about the thermal spray torches. So what is the torch is making over there? So you have seen this. In this torch, the material is taken inside in one form. Another one is energy is taken in another form. It is going to fuse it, and the fused temperature, fused metal is going to be highly that is blown to stick it over the object. That is the motto. But at what temperature it is going to make it out? So we say there are so many torches, so many process, heat sources are used, but how it is going to be done? See here. So this is called combustion flame gases. So whatever the gases you use, any sort of flame spray method, it has around 3000 degrees centigrade. The velocity is just 40 to 100 meters per second. Okay, similarly this one, the other thing, combustion gas system. So combustion gas spray. So another sort, the temperature may be less, but the velocity may be increased. Okay, combustion gas. So if the temperature is increased, velocity may reduce. If the temperature may reduce, the velocity may increase. So it is just like a gas welding process. So we cannot say anything else. Next to that, this is called a degun process, detonation gun process. So detonation gun is having just 3000 degrees centigrade temperature rating only, but the velocity is maximum because it has a explosive power to force it. Okay, so this is having a higher level. Next to that, we are having a HVOF concept. So same temperature, but velocity is not much like degun process. So both are in the same corner. Okay. Next is called wire arc method, but here the temperature is maximum because the material and the electrical heat energy are most wide contact. So having a maximum contact, but the velocity we cannot expect it here. This will be of just like a gravity flow. Okay, that is the very important one. Next is called APS method, atmospheric plasma method or vacuum plasma method. So they are having a maximum temperature, you can see. So the main reason for using vacuum atmospheric plasma or vacuum plasma is you can see the temperature rating. So the rate of fusion for any ceramic materials, you can look it over here. So if you are going for any alumina, it is around melting point is 2000. If you are going for boron nitrate, if you are going for silicon carbide, or if you're going for any zirconium oxide, you can see the temperature variations. It is around 2700 degrees centigrade. If your temperature for this gun is this as an optimum one, how can you achieve the thermal spray method? It is very tough. So that is why the people are highly recommending this versatile technique, any plasma spray. These are versatile and robust one to make any spraying method. Okay, so based on this melting point and then your velocity job material, you have to select the coating processes. Okay, this is one of the important factor while selecting the thing. Okay, second thing is we have to select the coating. How do we select the coating? We have to note one more thing. See, the coating is based on the substrate material. If your material is having a higher thermal expansion rate, you cannot go with a lower thermal expansion rate. The material is having nearby same thermal expansion rate, then it is fine. So the thermal expansion rate is very, very important factor to be considered while selecting any coating process or coating material. So mostly you can see this nickel. So nickel, when it is of a single one, so this is the nickel. So I'll take my cursor here. Okay, right. So when it is of talking about the nickel, we say this is around having a 12. It is 12. So when we talk about maximum aluminas are used or zirconium oxides are used, so you can see this one differences, because all these are brittle coatings. All these are brittle coatings. They may fail because of any other reasons. Okay, so tungsten, we cannot say anything else. Tungsten, it won't get expand, very tough. But at the same time, when you go for aluminum, the expansion is high. See, it is around 24. If you go with silicon carbide, then how? It will be just like a reinforcement. So expansion rate, thermal expansion rate is also another one important factor we have to notify by selecting the material as well as the process for the. You have to note these things. Okay, right? So this is the thermal spray coating. This is my job. So this is what Inconel 617, the super alloy substrate, in which I have done two coatings. One is nickel chromium as well as nickel, that is chromium oxide. I have done two coatings for my research. One is pure ceramic coating, that is alumina and titania. Alumina and titania. That is why in my profile, Maharajan sir has read that 40T, A40T. A40T means alumina with 40% titanium. Okay, alumina having 40% titanium, 60-40 ratio. So ceramic, pure ceramic as one coat, and second one is called a two-way coating method. One is bond coat, another one is top coat. So bond coat I used nickel chromium. Second one I used top coat as chromium oxides here, 203. You can see the differences, the ceramic and this first coating and second coating. The main difference is here, there is no ceramic in my one because it is a metallic oxide. This is not a ceramic. This is also a pure metallic. So there is no short of making alumina even when it is exposed to higher temperature. I have not taken yttria. I have not recommended zirconia. I have not recommended any sort of that is ceramic forming oxides in my coating. The research what I have done in my PhD, this is the main research. So factors to be considered here. So I'll say one more thing. So one more thing is what? While depositing, we have to take care of the splats. So what is the thickness? What is the number of splats? Everything is the coating splats are equal. You can see this splats. These are coating splats. I'll show you the top surface photo also. You can see this one, and this is oxide coatings, and this is metallic coating, how it has been done. So I'll show you this same images. So while making any thermal barrier coatings, you should keep some points in mind. One is called residual stress because of heating or what is that, any sort of thermal ratings. It should not have a residual stress. Next is thermal expansion factor. Coating density and porosity, how to reduce it, then adhesion and delamination, oxidation, corrosion, typological properties. For example, when we are talking about this, so you can say this when it is of a bulk. So if I'm talking about this one, see this is having two layers here. Okay. When it is projected in a three-dimensional now, so it is having two layers now, just like this. If I talk about the stress of the substrate and coating of the substrate, sigma x or sigma y, what is happening? This will have a stress with reference to xy direction, and this will also have a stress with reference to x and y direction. So this can be a coating, and this can be for the substrate, and this can be a coating for, and this can be for the substrate. we cannot say that strain happened in this material is same as the strain happened in this substrate. Coating strain and substrate strain are different. For example, if I want to check the strain for any bulk materials, I can say that stress by strain, Young's modulus. If I want to find this, stress by Young's modulus. If I want to see about the differences in this, I cannot equate it, but I can equate it in the terms of stresses. The stress induced here and this will not be varying, but the strain induced in this and this are different. So when you are talking about the residual stress, you should be very clever to note that whether we know the stress of the coating or do you know the stress of the substrate. If it is known, you just subtract it. Sigma 1 S minus sigma 2, sorry, sigma 1C in terms of Young's modulus, just like E minus Poisson's ratio divided by E into strain, I think so that is, this is for coatings will be different and shaft will be different. I have one formula, I'll tell you that. So based on that, so you can, if you have that strain rate with reference to that, you can able to find it. So if you want, I'll tell you that formula. I have one formula, I noted. 1 minute, I'll check it. Why to go somewhere? We need to wait for a long time. I have that formula earlier. Just a minute. Yeah, I got it now. If I want to find the stress rate, yes. If I want to find the stress for this object, I can write it here now. So sigma 1 is known. For example, sigma 1 is known means yes, sigma 1 minus sigma 2 of coating. If I want to note, this means Young's modulus of coating into 1 minus Poisson's ratio of substrate divided by Young's modulus of substrate into 1 minus Poisson's ratio of coating into stress 1 of substrate minus stress 2 of substrate. A very simple relation. This was my current subject which I am handling for my BTech students. So engineering stress analysis. If I want to find the stress difference in stress for X and Y of the coating, I can use this simple relation. With the simple relation, I can able to identify the you can able to find the Young's modulus of any ceramics or substrate, and you can able to find the Poisson's ratio of any ceramics and substrate. At the same time, you know the stress induced in your substrate, X direction or Y direction. With this, you can find the differences. This is called change in stress. This is very easy. Okay, that residual stress is also possible to found with the help of this formula. Okay, at the same time, we should take care of the thermal expansion. So as I mentioned in the early slide, that the thermal expansion rate of the substrate, material, coating, and this bond coat, you have to take care of all these three together before making it out. At the same time, you should note whether the adhesion and delamination of the coating is not compensated. So for that, we have to go for proper scratch tests or any abrasion test, indentation test can be done. Oxidation tribological properties are the main motto of the research involved in the thermal barrier coatings. Okay, right. So far we have said what is the thermal barrier coating, thermal spray methods, thermal barrier coatings. So far, okay, fine. Whatever you have seen is right. Okay, understood. I think so. I can able to say, if you have any doubt, we can discuss it. No issues. If you have any doubt, you please stop it immediately, because my full screen I cannot see anyone. If you raise your hand or if you put message, I cannot see it. So please unmute and you can ask question. Okay. So far you have seen the thermal spray method for thermal barrier coatings, but early days the people used to make this thermal barrier coating with the help of EBPVD, electron beam physical vapor deposition for making the thermal barrier coatings. The structure of this thermal barrier coating, which was developed through electron beam physical vapor deposition, will be just like this, a broccoli. At the top, you can see so much of pores and voids, which is having a higher surface tension to lead the fluids or the gases which is floating over the top surface towards this. Not only in the top, you can able to see here how the gaps are created here in this EBPVD. This is a fresh thermal barrier coating, so these are all needed. So what happens here? When something is left over there, it will take the solution or it will make the elements to pass it from here and towards this substrate, adjunct layer. So what happens? Instead of making the surface contact direct, you are making some capillarity to flow the surface. It may be of a heat or it may be of any salt to slow down. That's all. You're making the oxidation reaction or corrosion reaction to slow down. That's all. Nothing else more than that. So this was the very common thing followed in the early days. That is why the research has been turned to make it a thermal barrier coatings with the help of thermal spray method. This is the comparison here. Okay, so for thermal spray method, this is thermal spray method, how it has been done, and this is the electron beam PVD method, how it has been done. So in a thermal spray method, you can see the structures in the form of splats. Okay, at the same time here you can see the structures in the form of columnar structures. First and foremost difference. Second, if the heat energy or the energy which is facing at the environment has to travel so many layers. So you can see the layers 1, then it has to cross it like this, then cross it. So it has to just see so many path and guide to travel from the top towards the bottom towards so many layers and structures. After that, it has to reach this adjunct layer called bond coat. At the same time, here you can see, in this case, it is very fast. It is having a capillarity. If heat energy is produced, all the oxygen will be evaporated. So the flow of fresh oxygen will be there, or the oxygen whichever developed will be taken breath by the material. So degradation starts very slow here. The degradation starts very fast. That is why here the thermal conductivity is very less, and here the thermal conductivity is very fast. So this is not highly recommended. The people in early days, they used to make it these kinds of coatings, and later it has been changed to thermal spray method like this. What is happening when it is okay, fine, sir? You are talking about the thermal heat and then the environment. Okay, fine. What about when it is making towards the load? If there is some shear load, or when it is making some sort of pressure, what happens when it is sliding? I can do it. Yeah, fine. You can do it. But what happens? These are all very column. If you hit on the one column, if this is the column, if I hit it on, what happens? It will try to extend this. If I hit it like this, it will try to open this. So that is what happening in this. If I hit it over here, it will start to create the micro cracks. So you can see the cracks formed here. Where is my cursor? Okay. So you can see the cracks formed here. So much of cracks. So these are not mechanically stable, and these are not thermally okay to proceed further, since thermal spray coatings are followed for thermal barrier coatings. So this is my research. So this has been given in Surface Engineering Journal, followed by one paper I have shown you in the DO is given. This is from Google, and this is from my research paper. So this is after oxidation. So you can see the layers has been just peeled up, and it has faced so many cycles of load, and still the substrate is very good. Okay, but here in this case it is not possible, since we are not recommending the thermal barrier coatings. Okay, and then some thermal barrier coatings, what is the main applications? So many thermal barrier coatings. What is the main applications? You can see there are so many aerospace applications and defense applications where they have to face so many environments. So this is one of the environment where smokes and fuels has to be faced. Here this is a sandstorm, this is a water, rainwater, and other environment. It has a mist and other environment. All these things will not be a natural oxygen. there is no natural oxygen or oxides. It will be having chlorine environment, it will be having a sulfur environment, sometimes it will be having a vanadium environment because of the fuels. If you talk about the boiler, if you talk about the boiler, thermal barrier coating, 60% vanadate and 40% of V2O5 vanadate, and then 40% of sodium sulfate Na2SO4. So these are the dominating ones. Sulfur and vanadium are the highest corrosion species, which is damaging the boiler components. Yes. So environments are not created. The components are operated where the environments are such made. Okay, so sources from Google. And similarly, when we go for the turbine engine cell, this is the fan side, you can see. So different sections. So when it is exposed to such a wide applications, after that, what happens to this blade? You can see it goes with oxidation. It has to face corrosion and continuous operation will lead to erosion. So these three are the main three applications suggested for thermal barrier coatings for higher elevated temperatures. So this is not only for turbine, you can see this one in mines, you can see in what to say, underground borings, because there are also that much heat generated while cutting the rocks. Everything is there. Okay, in between that, I ask you not to think about this TGO. What is that TGO? TGO is nothing but thermally grown oxide. So thermal barrier coatings fail due to TGO. As I mentioned here in this concept. So when the oxygen goes up towards here, what happens? This bond coat is just connected, and then the element which is here, it may be of a nickel or a chromium or a aluminum or yttria, whatever it is, it will start to form an oxide scale over here. It will start to form an oxide scale over here. So these oxides will not be connected to the ceramics because these are all metallic oxides. These are all ceramics. So they doesn't have that much link. What happens? The growth of these oxides will prolong layer by layer, and at some sort of point, I'll have some PPT. At some sort of point, what happens? It will break the top coat, and the total component is exposed to severe corrosion environment or oxidation environment or mechanical failures. So that is the main objective of the research what I have done in my doctoral time. Okay, so this is the basic. So what is happening? This is the ceramic coat. This is the metallic coat substrate. So ceramic is also already we said it is a porous or it is a less porous, whatever it is. Sir, your voice is breaking. Sir, your voice is breaking, please. Hey. Is it okay?
Sir, I think okay, sir. Now it's okay.
Okay, right, fine.
Yes.
So what happens when the ceramic is porous or when something else is happening at here, this condition, the environment will take the heat or the corrosive medium from the atmosphere, and it will lead and it will make this metallic bond coat. This is called metallic bond coat to oxidize. Okay, if it is of a thermal spray method or a PVD method, whatever it is, so they will make a path to transfer these things. How it is happening? TGO is growing, so you can see. So this is the oxide scale. So sorry, this is the coating, top coat or ceramic coating. When the coating takes this micropores into the oxygen towards the substrate, it starts to make a localized corrosion. This is called localized corrosion at the pores or the voids. What happens? It will produce a uniform corrosion called a film, oxide film, that is called TGO. When the oxide grows up, what happens? It will shift this coating layer from the substrate to top. it will shift, it will raise it. It raises just like a mushroom, and it will takes up the coating out of the bond coat. What happens bond coat next? If the top coat is gone off, that's all. All the heat whichever exposed will be directly imposed towards the metallic bonding, and oxidation or whatever it is, it starts rapid. That is the thing. So continuation of this exposure will make to produce a multi-scale oxidation. So this is one of the finding which we noted, and this is just like that. So you can see this one. This is cadmium zirconium oxide, TgO. Because of TgO, this is because of the TgO, the coating has been spalled out. So this is also because of TgO, the top coating has been burned. So these are the some examples for delaminations of the research. Okay. So what I have done in my research, so I have done two coatings. One is called alumina titania single coat, not a double coat, just like a bond coat and top coat. I have done one more thing, nickel chromium and chromium oxide. I have excluded alumina or any sort of ceramic forming oxides. If I have this one, conventional nickel chromium aluminum yttria, when it takes to the oxides, now what happens? This aluminum will form Al2O3. If it is yttria there, Y2O will form. So I've just avoided to take off these as a TgO. So just from the research I found the aluminum content or ceramic contents are the main first drawback, or they are the culprits to make this TBC to fail at the fast. So I just decided not to use these culprits here in this condition. Culprits means just for example I'm telling for this conditions. Okay. And next condition I have taken pure alumina titania. People used to say that titania is a self-cleaning material. Yes, of course it is a self-cleaning material. It won't allow any sort of salt or anything else to make it out. Because of heat it will be exposed. So adding titania will increase your porosity, that is it will increase your density and it will reduce your porosity. That is very important one. So early days before doing my research, I could able to see Al2O3 plus 13% TiO2, 13% titanium oxide. After that I thought, why to minimize the titanium? Why not to go with 40% titanium? After that only I thought this titanium may increase the bonding strength as well as to will reduce the surface tension, that is what self-cleaning property and everything. So I have done that 40T, that is alumina with 40% titania. After that I didn't get any coating powder, increased that. I have to make it because at time of my research he said the commercial powders will be used, your own powders will not be accepted in making the coatings and other researchers. So he denied to make it, so I didn't bought anything else. So I exposed that to 1000 degrees centigrade under mixed salt environment, and corrosion coating behaviors are done. So this is the pure surface. You can see the surface how it is. These are all called metal splots. You can see chromium oxide top coat, this one top coat, and this is the bond coat alumina titania, sorry, nickel chromium. Okay, so both are having a good metallurgical bonding. So this is from my research. You can refer my paper if you want to know about this coating. So when it is exposed at 1000 degrees centigrade, you can see this oxides are in the form of agglomerates. Okay, micropores are very clear. And this is for alumina titania. See how this coating has turned like this. The one more thing what I have noticed here is I had chromium oxide and what to say, nickel chromium as the bond coat. Okay. So this is to be the 100% adding oxygen and chromium. So you can see this one. Chromium has been lost. At elevated temperature, chromium is having a wonderful materials property. When it crosses that eutectic limit around 900 degrees centigrade, what happens? Chromium oxide, Cr2O3, starts to evaporate as a vapor. So that evaporation has protected my surface for a long tenure. After that evaporation only, my coating got sustained. So this is the cross section. So this is the substrate. This is the nickel chromium bond coat, and this is called the top coat. Other these things are epoxy. Okay, at the same time, you can see this is alumina titania. So this is ceramic as usual. So ceramic paid a part to make a micropores inside to make a TGO. So this is called substrate. This level is called a TGO. For the same condition, see the behavior, how it has happened. Here, the topmost chromium oxide layer has gone, elapsed. So just to identify again, I have done that EDAX results here. So this is called epoxy. That is why it got charged while taking a SEM micrograph. So exposed to top coat, and the pores which is done over here has taken up. There I cannot find any TGO between these two or these two elements. So I cannot find, I can able to find only the migrations of the element. That's all. So this is the mechanism involved in my research. At the same time, here you can see this is pure alumina titania. Okay, so it has, alumina has come down and this one nickel has gone up. The transformation of nickel aluminide, just like that, it has some transformation. It has reached some sort of thing to form TGO over certain sort of thickness. What happens when the TGO grows up maximum? It will break my coating and it will spoil my component very fast. So that is the final outcome of the work. So to just to avoid, so we have suggested that nickel chromium oxide coating has a better life compared to alumina. At the same time, alumina titania is having a special features like self-cleaning one. Okay, the same thing I have applied for what to say, erosion studies, because as I said, the component is going to be face the erosion analysis. So this is my own research work published in International Journal of Materials, Minerals and Mining, so IJMM journal. So this you can refer it. So this is the base metal in which the coating has been done, alumina titania coating. As it is having a self-cleaning property, I have chosen this one. So the pure 100% alumina titania coating. So before and after erosion, you can see what is happening during erosion. The particle, hard particle which is available in the environment will be chiseling or sliding towards the object to remove the job. Okay, this is thing happening. But to avoid this concept, we have taken a coating. Okay, if it is the material, this is the substrate portion and this is the coating portion. After 30 minutes, this is after 30 minutes for 300 micron A40T coating. Okay, this is for 300 micron A40T coating for 30 minutes at 90 degree. This is very important. Angle of impingement varies different. So the structures, how far it has been done, so everything was found. So when the material flow is increased, you can see that when the material flow is increased, automatically the erosion rate goes up. At the same time, this is alumina, right? Some sort of clinching effect were also noticed. So some sort of hard particles you can see adhering over the surfaces. Okay, that is the main outcome of this research. Okay. So similarly, this is also my own work. This has been published in the Journal of Surface Engineering, called as done for sliding wear behavior. So this is pure superalloy in Cornell 617. So you can see the debris for nickel chromium oxide, as the chromium oxide is what to say, a metallic oxide. So wear rating compared for this and this. So alumina titania found somewhat adhesive wear, and this one found erosion abrasion wear, and some sort of debris were noted here in this portions. Okay, I have checked this one for both the coatings has been tested for both scratch test. So both the coatings has exhibited around 120 Newton to 1200 kilogram force to maintain a good coating. Okay, so I cannot find any distractions around that. Only I can able to find some sort of distractions. Other than that, serrations are a little bit over there, nothing else more than that, but it has not damaged my job. Okay, that is the main thing that I observed from this. So with this, I wish to stop that. I have given a wide cover of thermal barrier coatings and its related research in a defined way for both wear, corrosion, oxidation analysis. If you have any doubt, you can call me. So Even though if you want anything else in the future work, you can ping me. The time for session, that is discussion. If you have any doubt, you can ask me.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Sir, any queries from participants? Participants, do you have? Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you. Sir, if anyone have any doubt regarding this particular topic, you can unmute and you can ask and directly interact with your expert speaker.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, you have mentioned that we have to eat up to 30 minutes, sir.
30 minutes on what?
At a particular temperature, sir, for the last point.
That is for sliding weir. For you are talking about this one, right? This sliding weir, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So sliding weir, it is just like this. So there will be a sharp, this is a pin made of, just imagine like this. So pin on disc, they call it as a pin on disc. Okay. For example, in a disc, the pin is made to slide it for a particular radius 30 minutes time. For 30 minutes time, the pin will be continuously rotating with some sort of load. It may be of a 10 Newton or 5 Newton or other things. So you can see my papers in that. So in that you can get information what I have mentioned. For 10 kilonewton, the behavior of this material for 30 seconds is noted here and it has been presented in that slide. So for 30 minutes means for 30 minutes continuously it is sliding like that. So what is the maximum material loss happening here? You can see 500 microns, 300 to 500 microns for low weight, 5 Newton for 10 Newton. Can you see this? For 5 Newton, the maximum loss is 200 microns. This is for nickel chromium. And for alumina, it is around 300 microns. When the load is going up maximum, so it has crossed around 500 microns for 30 minutes time for this much load. So we will be designing for maximum load. 10 Newton, 5 Newton is a maximum load. So that it can able to bear the working load at the working environment.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Have you heard Rotomac pen writing test? How does it called? It writes for a long time. Na? The nib will be just scrolled for continuous of some meters of time. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
just like that, it will be rotating for some time.
Sir, two questions from our participants in chat box, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I will ask, sir, what is the role of thermal barrier coating in power plants? Mr. Ranjit Kumar asking, sir.
What is the role of thermal barrier coatings in power plants? Sir, in a power plant, we have to say there are so many things, sir. In a pipe, when the pipe which is exposed to the supersaturated boiler power plant, the temperature rating is maximum. There you are having maximum of SS 316, 304. Later you have just gone to a nickel-based alloy. That fire side corrosion is having two important corrosion species called vanadium and sulfur. So vanadium and sulfur are aggressive species which make that material to degrade very fast. To protect the pipe from the power side, that is fire side, the coatings are made over the pipe to protect it, sir. So that is the first thing in a power plant area, that is in a furnace area. The same concept as I mentioned here in the turbine. In the turbine section also, it has to face a high velocity engagement of steam. The steam pressure and the velocity is maximum. To face the high pressure steam in the turbine blade, TBC coatings are used. That is for erosion as well as thermal protections. Because the steam will be having some sort of oxygen moisture content. So we have to face it that now. So both on fire side, steam side. For both the cases, we have to take care. So that is the important role of TBC in power plants. Yes, thank you. Next, is it possible to go for nano coatings? I have to say that when you fuse it through thermal barrier coating, what happens? It will get agglomerated. So nanoparticle nano coating means you can use nano reinforcement just like that in the metallic powder, but it has to be sustained in that aspect. Because as I mentioned to you, the metallic coatings, whatever you are going to use is going to be fused at some chamber and then it is going to be deposited with a high velocity. So during fusion, again, we cannot say it is an atomized one. So nanoparticle is not that much true to the level of expectations. So I cannot say, in my knowledge, I say it is not that much true to the level of expectations. Only two or anything else, Maharajan sir?
And also IC engine, is there any coating, sir? He's asking one more question. Thermal barrier coating in IC engine.
Yes, sir. In a piston cylinder arrangement, when the piston is getting combustion, at that time the fuel is facing that ignition, carbon, and other things. The piston to increase the two-way, we can say it in a two-way, the piston chamber, combustion chamber, and then piston head. Both are thermal barrier coating deposit layers are used for reason. One is to reduce the combustion chamber. What happens if you are using for 500 microns or 50 microns? You just think it, the whole volume, it will reduce to some extent. So compression ratio increases one. Second thing, the sudden shock load or the sudden thermal expansion happening in the material will also be cooled down and it will be settled over there. So for both the reasons, cylinder head and piston head are used with thermal barrier coatings. I have seen that and one of my colleagues is doing in that one.
Okay. So and chat box also they are asking.
Yes, I think what are the various, okay, one after coating, whether you cut down the sample to check the cross section samples? Yes, sir. Actually, what we have to do, we have to slice it. That coating should not get damaged. You can go for diamond wheel cutting or abrasive water jet cutting without making any thermal shock or any other shocks to the coating. So with that only you can make it out. Or else if you prepare the sample, you have to polish it in a wheel, emery wheel. After that you can mount it. You just first mount it. After that you can polish it for a while and then you will get it. Then what are the various parameters that affect thermal barrier coatings? So that was I have already mentioned: residual stress, thermal expansion, and then erosion rate, particle velocity, environments, whatever it is. What is the ambient you are going to deposit the coating? That is the thing, right? What is the reliability and lifetime of the coating? It depends upon the environment working, sir. We cannot say much, but these two are the best one. Thermal barrier coatings, PVD are the best one relatively. But compared to EBPVD and then thermal barrier coatings, these are the best one. We cannot say reliability. It depends upon the operation. Thermal barrier coating is only for heat resistance, either corrosion resistance. I said both. It is having both heat resistance as well as corrosion resistance. It protects the that is oxide scale formation, because the elements whichever you are using for TBC is that much corrosion resistance and oxidation resistance. So it act both the one. What will be the lifetime for TBC in IC engine? Sir, sorry for that, because I have not done in that, but recently my colleague has started that work. If you want, I can able to give his contact number. You can check it with him because he is doing in VI engine, I think so. So I have to say I don't have idea about that, but it will be increased, sir, sure. Because really he is doing the research. I have just guided him. You can do it like that, just so. I don't have that much results because at my time of exit, he has done. Okay, then. Can we check the coating thickness deposit? Sure. Through this SEM microscope or optical microscope, you can check it. That is the best one. If you go for coating thickness measurement gauge, that is not real. through SEM and OM, you can measure it perfectly. Next is it practically possible to create thermal barrier, thermally grown oxide layer in between the substrate and the coating? Practically possible means that is the only main issue in the turbine, sir. That is the main mode. The main objective is to reduce TGO. That is my PhD. If you go for any oxidation corrosion studies or creep test, all the papers are reported with this one. What is that called? TGO, TGO, TGO. So TGO is the major issue faced by the DRDO people for designing the turbine engine. So my research is based on DRDO. What to say? I should not say much. So it is just like that. So it is happening. That is the major issue happened. So and do. How do you check the lifetime of the coating? Yeah. Yes, of course. So coating thickness with reference to the exposure, as well as when you work it for the same base metal, you can compare it. What is the corrosion rate or what is the material loss? You can check it. So if you are doing a sample coupons, the material loss will be one rate. Another one, when you work with the coating, your material loss will be at one rate. So with reference to, you can find the corrosion rate formula using W by DAT formula, weight by density, area and time, corrosion rate. There is one formula, right? Using that corrosion rate formula, you can able to find the material loss with reference to lifetime. For a continuous process at 10-15 readings after 5 hours, 10 hours consecutive, you can find that corrosion rate formula. That is possible. Before coating the piston, whether we have to remove the same amount of material? No. There is no need to remove the material, because the same piston only you are going to increase the coating thickness area. So when the coating thickness is increased, what happens? The compression chamber, the distance between the piston head and piston will be there. After coating, it will be reduced. The combustion chamber volume will be reduced. So need not to remove the material from the piston. So it is to be same. If you share the whole session video and audio, it will be useful. Maharajan sir, I'll share that PPT to you. So you can make it.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you send the feedback link? Oh,
yes, sir. Yeah,
I think
sir. Yes, sir. I formally conclude, sir. Actually, it's a nice session. I formally conclude this session, sir. Actually, I sincerely thank Dr. M. Adam Khan, sir, for actually spend time with us for last 1.5 hours, even his busy schedule, because his morning to evening he actually go with his own class for their students. After that he is coming, and also participants very patient, because for it's the 4 o'clock, 4 to 5:30, almost 1.5 hours they are listening with the patient, and also they are creating more kind of motivation to us. It's a very good and wonderful and informative session to all. So I sincerely thank you, sir. And also your interactive session for all the questions. You are updating everything with all the participants. And also in future, that session also, we will please to you. You just come and present, sir. And also participants also, I would like to I like to invite all the participants in future session conducted by our college for any webinars. So just come and participate. Thank you all, and thank you, Dr. Adam Khan, sir. Thank you.
Thanks to all. All the best for your future. I'm always open. Our institute is always ready to support everyone. So thanks to Maharajan,
Yes,
sir, and your team. Please convey my regards to SRK sir, because he's a mentor, we should not leave him. And I have to thank my management also. So with the support and blessings of our management only, we are coming outside everywhere. Whatever we learn, we have to disseminate. It is a knowledge is to disseminate. It should not be buried within you.
Yes,
what
sir.
you learn is the information to share to others. Okay, so you
Yes,
give your positive suggestions, positive information. Don't give any negative information. If you have doubt, please don't share it with anyone.
Yes.
So it with to all. So anyway, thanks to all. Have a nice time. Thanks for the opportunity given. You are most welcome for any sort of requirements in future in research or any support.
Definitely, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Sir, I have shared my feedback link. You just click the link and just enter your name and also your college name, everything correctly, because the certificate, e-certificate will be automatically generated and it will send to your mail immediately. So if you want to correct anything, you just put a chat with my WhatsApp. So if anything wrong, you can put a chat if your name mistake or any college mistake. So when you type, you just give some just cautious when you type your name and your college name. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharajan.
Thank you, sir. Sir, okay, sir.
Okay, I'm
Very
leaving.
sorry, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank
Yes,
you. Bye, bye, bye. Have a nice temperature future. Bye, bye.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir.